The Monster of Canterlot, Chapter 2. The first few months were particularly hard on Celestia and myself. For one thing, I wouldn't stop crying about missing my mother and father. What's even worse, I couldn't remember their names. She tried to make me happy, with toys, treats, love, and affection. During those times, I was okay, because I had distractions. But there's only so much Kate can do, no matter what a certain pink earth pony says. That's actually one of the main reasons she loves Kate so much now. She couldn't just let it go to waste after all. Thankfully, there was Twilight and her family. They were all very friendly to me and treated me as family. Shining Armor was just as supportive and protective of me as he was with his own sister. Nightlight and Twilight Velvet claimed me as their adoptive nephew. And Twilight Sparkle seemed to try too hard for a while. She always blamed herself for my being trapped here. In fact, that's why she gets so obsessive over minor details. She wanted to make absolutely sure it never happened again. At first, I was kept hidden for my own good. I still got nervous at the guards in their heavy armor. It was hard enough getting used to there being no humans here without being frightened by every other pony. It was soon learned that I startled quite a few of them as well. They were used to things like griffons and minotaurs, but they had centuries for that. In the distant past, both creatures had passively hunted ponies. If one happened upon an easy meal, they took it. Nowadays, barely any pony remembered that, but now there was a new predator. Me. 2 months after I arrived, I started to get sick. The doctors didn't know what was wrong with me. Heck, it took 3 unicorns just to perform a magic scan on me, and if Celestia hadn't been there, I would have been freaking out about it. So, as you can see, Princess, Chris's bone structure is quite different from our own. His muscles show that he will never be as strong or as fast as a pony, though he may grow to be taller than even yourself. He will also never be able to reproduce with a pony. The doctor then indicated for Celestia to come closer so he could whisper to her. His digestive tract is shorter than ours. We believe he may be a carnivore, or, preferably, an omnivore. Is this the reason he has been sick as of late? Celestia called me over and nuzzled me as I happily hugged her tight. Yes, Princess. I'm afraid to say it, but I believe he will have to consume flesh at some time in the near future. The doctor looked from her to me with a concerned expression. If he doesn't, he will become malnourished and possibly worse. Celestia nodded in understanding. I understand, Doctor. Thank you. And please, she turned and started to usher me out of the infirmary. Keep this information between us. My little ponies are having enough of a hard time accepting him as it is. That was the moment I started seeing her as more than just a caregiver. She truly cared about me and wanted me to be happy. That was also the moment that she decided she would be willing to sacrifice her good name for my well-being. She contacted the only creature she knew she could trust in this matter. The next afternoon, I met someone who would become a good friend of mine, King Griffon of the Griffon Empire. Celestia contacted him and requested a private meeting of grave importance. When he arrived, King Griffon was uneasy. Celestia met with leaders of state all the time, but this was of grave importance. He had no idea what that can mean, and that's what worried him. Princess Celestia, I came as soon as I received your message, Griffon announced as he entered the throne room. How can I be of service? King Griffon, I apologize for pulling you away from your kingdom, but I did not know who else to turn to. She stood from her throne and started to walk toward a doorway on the side of the large room. Please, follow me, and leave your guard here. Griffon did as she asked, but now he was more confused than ever. What could be so bad that she doesn't want my guards to know? Is Equestria in danger? Is the Griffon Empire at risk? Could this possibly be a more private meeting? A part of him hoped for the latter. She was a stunning pony that anyone would find attractive. Celestia, what is this all about? Griffon asked as they went deeper into the castle's private area. It is very uncommon for even dignitaries to come into this part of the castle, thus adding to his confusion and unease. Celestia stopped just outside her personal chambers. Inside this room is something very precious. It is this that I need your help with. She then opened the door and stepped inside. When I saw her come in, I wanted to run over to her. Unfortunately, I wasn't feeling too hot. Besides, she told me not to. I was supposed to wait patiently until she said otherwise. Celestia was concerned I might startle Griffon, and his instincts would make him hurt me. When I saw Griffon enter, I didn't need instructions to stay still. Griffon looked at me with a suppressed look of shock. He looked down at me. Celestia, what is this thing? It always upset Celestia to hear some pony refer to me as a thing, monster, creature, and especially abomination. The only pony who called me that found himself suddenly promoted to ambassador of the Dragon Kingdom. He quit after 1 day. She didn't show the slightest hint of anger, even though I knew otherwise. This is Chris. He is a human from a world called Earth. He was brought here by a spell gone awry. I have taken it upon myself to care for him. She stated all of this as though it were simple fact and nothing more. She had come over to me and laid down next to me. I immediately latched onto her neck and chuckled as she nuzzled me. Very well. Griffon approached and slowly lowered himself to the floor as well. He certainly seems harmless, and he definitely liked you. She smiled as he said that. He extended an eagle's talon toward me, palm up, claws as flat as possible, and waited for me to react. I looked at Celestia. Her smile told me simply that nothing would ever hurt me while she was there. My confidence rose quickly as I stepped closer and placed my hand in Griffon's paws. Nice to meet you, sir. Griffon smiled. It's nice to meet you too, youngling. Do you know what I am? I shook my head. I am a griffin, half lion, half eagle. I am also the king of my empire. What are you? I'm a human. I think I'm related to chimps, but I'm not sure. I'm not a king or anything, though. This made him chuckle. You seem like a good young lad. I hope we can be friends in the future. Thank you, sir. I would like that. I shook his hand heartily before withdrawing my own. He then spread his wings and allowed me to get a closer inspection of his form. Wow! Griffon chuckled again before turning back to Celestia, who was grinning happily. Forgive me, but I fail to see what the issue is. He is friendly, well-mannered, and seems to have a healthy level of curiosity. As he said the last bit, he swatted me gently with a wing and chuckled as I laughed. While I would agree, there are still concerns. Celestia sighed deeply. One of those concerns is the reason I contacted you. Her smile was gone from her face completely. Chris needs to eat meat. As Celestia said the last word, she locked eyes with Griffon with a look of pleading. Ah, I see. So, since your country is all herbivores, you are unable to provide the protein his body requires. Griffon wrapped his wing around me and pulled me in close as he rubbed my head. I found the whole thing very entertaining. I believe I can help with that. I will happily provide what is needed for his health. I can even have it cooked ahead of time, so your chefs don't have to deal with it. I understand how distressing such a thing would be for them. I even have some handy right now, if you would like. Celestia smiled in relief as she nodded. Very well, it shall be done. Thank you very much. Now, I must ask what the price of such generosity would be. Simple. I only ask that I am allowed to visit this youngling during these deliveries. Celestia arched an eyebrow in mild suspicion. What? I like him. I just want to spend time with him. Provided there is nothing untoward going on, then I will happily agree to this. Very good. So, Chris, would you like to meet some more griffins? Griffon's question got me excited. I had seen all kinds of ponies, but this was a whole new creature, and they were cool. I looked to Celestia for permission. I could tell by her lowered ears just what the answer would be. I'm sorry, but I cannot allow that. Chris's unusual appearance tends to put ponies on edge. Are you saying that griffins scare easily? No, of course not. But if a griffin gets startled, they can easily kill some pony like Chris. Celestia's face was now showing only loving concern. Griffon looked from her down to me and my very soft, easily torn open skin, my fingers that were totally devoid of talons, and my absolute lack of fangs. I see your point, but you can't keep him locked away forever. It simply isn't healthy for him. I know, but for now, it is for his own good. When he is a little older, I will make sure he is properly trained in self-defense, so I will not have to worry so much. I believe he will one day be accepted, but sadly, that day is not this day. After their private meeting was ended, Griffon had his guards bring him a hearty meal. We sat in the private dining hall as we ate. Poor Celestia looked like she was going to be ill. I did what I could to keep her from having to see, as did Griffon, but there's only so much you can do. After that, I was back to normal. Every month, Griffon returned with a delivery of meat. He would meet with Celestia and I in her private chambers without his guards. Celestia's own guards knew the truth, but that didn't stop rumors from flying. The most common rumor was that Griffon was visiting each month for a more personal reason. It didn't help that I slept in her chambers as well. I was still crying myself to sleep at night, and she said she liked how warm my body was next to her. Celestia never complained, not once, nor did she ever try to correct any pony. Instead, she took solace that I was healthy and happy. She also began to eat more cake. At least that rumor is true, though the reason for it was that cake was her stress management. Some ponies paint, Celestia eats cake. For my education, I had a private tutor. Every morning, I would be taught about history, math, and science, same as every pony else. After lunch, Celestia would teach Twilight, and I would sit in. I couldn't use magic, but I did enjoy spending time with the two of them, even though Twilight seemed to avoid contact with me for the first few months. She was never rude about it. If I spoke to Twilight, she would respond politely and honestly, but she never started the exchange, at least for the first 4 months. After that, I couldn't take the silence anymore. Twilight, do you hate me? What? No, of course not. Then why are you always avoiding me? Perhaps it is time. You should tell Chris the truth, Twilight, Celestia told her in her most motherly of tones. What do you mean? Tell me what? Now I was getting worried. Twilight was crying. I had learned enough about pony body language to tell she was scared, borderline terrified. She had to force herself to make eye contact. It's all my fault. What's your fault, Twi? I asked. Now I was scared. It was my spell that brought you here. I'm the reason you were taken from your parents and your home. It's all my fault. I was frozen. This new information was too much to process. I know you must hate me now, but please say something. Twilight had placed her front hooves on my chest and was begging, her eyes pleading for some acknowledgement. I couldn't say anything. My mind had nearly gone blank. I wanted to scream and yell. I wanted to hit something or someone. I wanted to make something else suffer, but I didn't. I remembered my father telling me that acting out in anger would only hurt the ones I loved. Instead, I stepped back from Twilight, causing her to fall to all fours. I then turned around and ran. I was crying as I ran. I ignored Celestia's calls for me to stop. I simply crawled under the guards when they tried to block my path. I ran. I ran to one of my favorite places in the whole palace, the Hall of Legends. I sat, hidden by a plinth, with my elbows on my knees, in front of the window displaying the two sisters. For some reason, looking at it always brought me comfort. I was told before who the two ponies were, and I believed it, but to me, it was just a beautiful window. After a while, I felt and heard some ponies sit on the other side of that plinth. They didn't say anything at first, but I knew they were there. As soon as I could smell cake frosting, I knew exactly who it was. Why didn't you tell me? Celestia let out a long, deep sigh. I probably should have, but I guess I'm not as all-knowing as ponies want to believe. She looked up at the window we were sitting in front of. If I were, you would have known my sister, Luna. I looked over just in time to see a single tear fall from her eye. I crawled over and threw my arms around her. I cried in her fur as she wrapped her wings around me. I'm sorry I ran away. Was it really an accident? Yes, I was teaching Twilight a spell to teleport items short distances, and it went horribly wrong. Twilight's talent is magic, and she has the capacity to be extremely powerful. Unfortunately, that means that if she isn't careful, she also has the capacity for causing great misfortune. I think I understand. Will you forgive Twilight? She is very upset and scared you will hate her forever. Celestia was now nuzzling me. It was an action that always calmed me down. I guess I can, but right now, I'm afraid I'll do something mean to her. I released my hug. Can I just wait here for now? Yes, of course you can. I will go to her now, if you are okay here. I nodded. All right then. If you need me, I will be in the gardens. It was a full week before I taught the Twilight again. I told her I accepted her apology, and she was overjoyed that I wasn't angry with her. From that day on, we had been great friends. Even more so when her brother started to come along for her magic lessons, and he and I would play together in the gardens. And that was how I made my first real friends in this world.